I was pulled out of the news conference after some journalist told the officials there that I had a sign. They perhaps thought I was doing a protest. I wasn't doing a protest. I was simply wanting to hold up the sign so that they would call on me, so that I would be able to ask a question about serious nuclear policy. A year ago, 122 countries voted for the nuclear ban treaty. The group behind that effort won the Nobel Peace Prize last year. Nobody is talking about the fact that these people, Putin and Trump, are in effect using their nuclear weapons for their own geostrategic interests and threatening humanity with it. And I felt like this was an important thing to raise. Trump actually said we have 90% of the nuclear weapons, and that's an absurd thing. He's right about that, but what follows? Well, you know, they usually go to their own media preferences. The media that they know, the media that they're allied with. It's a problem of access. How do you get a serious question into a system that sometimes tries to prevent that? And I thought that I could come up with a creative way of doing that by holding up a sign. I thought that the Finnish officials would say, okay, we don't want you to do that, you know, or okay, we understand that that's journalistic, it's aggressive journalistic, but it's journalistic and we'll let you do it. I didn't think that I would get arrested at all. I thought at most they would take my sign away. They wouldn't let me explain what was happening, grabbed it, shoved me to the floor, my glasses fell out, they dragged me out of the room without any discussion, held me in the presidential palace for an hour, and then took me to a detention facility until midnight, which is when the media centers here closed, so that I think in an attempt to minimize the media coverage that this incident would get.
What happened in the detention center?
They interrogated me repeatedly. They told me that they would contact my loved ones and didn't. Meanwhile, my loved ones were trying to contact the U.S. consulate, which was being unresponsive, and claimed that they were trying to contact me, which they weren't. So there's a lot of manipulation by both the Finnish officials and apparently the U.S. government as well. So I shouted as they were pulling me from the presidential palace, "This is freedom of the press in Finland." So they shoved me to the ground on the pavement, tied my arms handcuffed and my legs handcuffed, threw me in the back of a police vehicle, and took me to the detention facility north of the city.
So
The other question that I wanted to ask was about Israel, because no U.S. president has acknowledged that Israel has nuclear weapons. So Trump could have made enormous progress yesterday if I just asked him the question, do you acknowledge that Israel has a nuclear weapons arsenal? And if he said yes, that would have been a serious move towards global peace, because we can finally talk about things in an open manner. We talk about Russia influence in the United States. Israel influences far more. Israel has prevailed on the United States to adopt the same policy of non-acknowledgement of its nuclear weapons.